And we're
Oh,
on.
here we are.
Yes, there we are.
Oh my
Hi,
gosh.
everybody. If it's
Good
Wednesday,
morning.
good morning. It must be Facebook Live on beadshop.com. I'm Kate Richburg.
Emily Miller here.
And we are here to rock your world with some laddering today.
Yes, we are going to talk more about lessons in laddering. And
that's right.
Who doesn't love an alliteration?
I love an alliteration.
Me too, you know.
And I love this ladder bracelet.
You know, and this is sort of like a little alliteration. It's doing kind of the same thing a little bit. I love the new buttons that Janice chose. I love the new colors that she put together.
I do too.
The color scheme is right in my wheelhouse. Opaques, and
it's
some
really
Picasso
great.
Finishes and all those things. Really, really nice.
No, it's really great.
Yeah.
And Janice, this is a Janice designed project, so Emily and I are really stoked to share it with you. And we've got a lot of other stuff that we want to talk about as well when it comes to laddering. Emily and I are flying solo today. Not only are we in front of the camera, but we're behind the camera. So you can see just right here over there.
I'll move it all the way there.
Yes, we're controlling what you guys see. So it's like Emily said
rubbing
before.
I'm rubbing my head and patting my tummy today.
That's right. So we're going to try out
luck.
some new camera angles. We're going to move the camera around and give you guys some good perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and find our feed. Let's see if I can find it. Do we see people on?
I hope
We hope you guys are saying things, but you are. I just haven't seen them yet. Let's see.
And Janice is moderating from back east.
Yes, and we see everybody. Yes, I see Lynn. Good morning. I see Janice on. We see Bonnie, and there's Gita and Faye. Good
We're taking
morning.
technology to a huge height today, aren't we?
We are, right? You can see, right? I love doing this, where you see us and us. I just think it's kind of hilarious. Is my sound on? Oops, I need to make sure my sound is off, so we're not echoing. So yes, you guys can always find the project. It's called Sea Dive, and it features really cool, really fun buttons from that will show up a little bit close. From Green Girl, from Cynthia. I don't know. Can you look at Emily do that camera work? I'm just going to hold still. You're going to move that camera. Look at us. That's amazing.
I know. Give it a second for that to
Give it a
catch up.
second, and we'll see. I'll just hold my arm there. But we've got some couple of brand new pewter buttons, which are great. Look at that. Look at how you zoomed, Em. That's amazing.
Let's see if I came a little closer.
We're super clever.
Yeah.
Look at us.
So these buttons are from our friend Cynthia Thornton at Green Girl Studios, and her talents are pretty enormous.
They are.
And
they
really add something to this.
Yeah, something great.
I've always kind of liked buttons. I don't know. I think probably you have too, just from years gone by, even before jewelry.
Yeah.
But they're really exceptional. So.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and zoom on out.
All right.
And we'll talk. We've got a few things to talk about before we jump in to this project. First of all, you guys, I wanted to mention that the class schedule for the Big Bead and Button Show is going to be out very soon. I think the website, the schedule is out, but it's not quite on the web yet. So the schedules have been mailed.
I think they're on the web.
I don't know. I just checked.
Am I
not?
At it the other day.
Oh, did you?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it had a bunch of classes and stuff.
Really? From this year?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, jump on over.
Because I saw you sent that link out, and I thought followed it. I thought I saw classes.
All right. Well, even better, you guys. So you want to jump on to the Bead and Button website, and Janice and I. It's June 3rd. I think it's the 3rd through 10th. Can you pull up the Bead and Button?
And make sure you register for your classes early, as soon as registration pops open, because some of those classes will fill fast.
Oh, great. And you guys are saying it is online now. Great. Yeah. And Janice just put the link in there, which is awesome, too.
Terrific.
I must have been looking at 2017 when I put that up. But, yes, it's the 3rd through the 10th. And Janice and I are going to be there. And we're teaching a couple of classes together. And then, of course, you can't keep a torch out of my hand. So I'll be doing some torching classes as well. We're going to be doing this color study. Janice and I will, and we'll have some fun. Kits for you. We've got 2 colorways for you guys to choose from. It's going to be great. So we're really going to focus a whole day on all of the stitches that we use for color study, like laddering with bugles and 2-hole beads.
The chain is
and
really
chain,
challenging. Yeah.
and the macrame and beaded macrame, all of that kind of stuff. So, and then we're also doing, it was my very first project. They're all tangly because, of course, you know, we have them all bunched up on the table. But this was one of my very first projects for beadshop.com. It's called Treasure Chest. And we're going to kind of work with rosary looped pieces. We're going to do loom work, and we're going to do leather work. So that one is there. And then, of course, I'll be wielding the torch also. So we really hope that you'll join us. We've got plenty of room in class. So we really would love to have a lot of you join us. So, but like Emily said, sign up early.
Certain classes do fill up early, and I would not, if it's something that you know you can make it, and don't hesitate too long.
Don't
for sure.
tally or
tarry.
Right, but tally up your classes.
Tally up your classes,
But don't tarry. No.
Correct.
No.
You're right.
Am I
Yeah.
right? That's what I get.
I had to think about it for a
That's
second.
what I get for using a fancier word. Don't wait is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay?
Don't delay.
Don't delay. Now, if you guys are watching this on a future time, not today, whatever today's date is,
29th,
today's
I
the 29th. It's the 29th of November.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
You know what that means, right?
That it's almost Christmas?
Yeah.
That your gift isn't done yet?
Neither is yours, but you know, we'll work that out.
We'll work that out. But if you guys are watching this sometime later, I'll tell you guys what it is later. It's kind of nice. My mom knows what it is. You can always fast forward about 15 minutes through all of this little chitter chat that we're doing and get right to the instruction part. And you can always watch us later on several ways. You can watch us right here on our Facebook Live page. You can go to our website, beadshop.com, and it's right there under the Facebook heading. You'll see that.
Easy to find.
And there's also a little button there for those of you who look for Free Tip Fridays. The Free Tip Fridays also live on that page. Or, of course, you can go to our YouTube channel and watch all of our videos. This here, our Facebook Live broadcasts, our Free Tip Friday broadcasts, and all of our great instructional videos all live on YouTube at beadshop.com.
I really like the Facebook Live stuff on the from the website. It's got kind of all the parts are there,
right?
And the shop tab and everything is kind of easy to find. I certainly try to watch it live, and then I'll go back to Facebook and watch it off of Facebook. But when I really want to look at the project as a whole,
right,
it's so much easier just to go to the website and look there.
And look at all there, yeah. And you can see if you go right to beadshop.com. All of the Facebook Lives are broadcast or archived that way. So if you watch something later and you say, oh, you know what, that earring project was awesome, take a look at the date, note the date, and then you could just scroll right down, click on that Facebook Live episode. There's a shopping tab, there's a episode notes. Janice started doing those episode notes mid-year, and now Drea is picking up some of the episode notes, which are amazing. So there's so much learning involved around this episode, not just Emily and I, or Janice and I, or Emily and Grace yakking it up. So there's lots of learning behind it. So that's where you can find it.
For sure.
Okay.
I mean, we do like a good chat, but
we do.
You know, I definitely have done that too when I've gone to look at them later. So I kind of scroll past that's the part that I don't. I've already seen it once, or maybe sometimes I've lived it, or lived it and or seen it once, and then I move on. Although it is hard, I'll tell you now, it's hard to watch yourself on the internet again.
Well, I just pretend it's someone else.
Well, I know I do that when it's live. I have no problem.
Right.
But when I'm watching it later, then it's harder for me to. I sit in my chair and squirm around.
Go, I just pretend it's not me.
Oh.
I pretend it's who am I? I pretend I'm Catherine Zeta-Jones watching Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Did you ever name your doll, by the way? I thought of that the other day.
Yeah, her name was Charlotte Maud. Is what I named her.
I was thinking another name I thought would have been good was Dorothy.
Oh, it's a good name.
I don't know why that came to me just this second, but
we're talking about. I do have an old-fashioned porcelain doll that I was making clothes for, and I was. Because I don't have enough time in my life, I had to make some doll clothes from scratch. But anyway, we wanted an old-fashioned doll name, and I thought Charlotte Maud was a good one.
Charlotte's my mom's name, so I love that name.
I do. I love it too. Okay. So if you do have issues, because I do see that your screen also froze there, but my screen is okay. If you do have broadcasting issues, while you're watching this live, hop out of your Facebook Live feed and then hop back in, and that'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes if your bandwidth gets overrun or for whatever reason the stream isn't coming right at you, just pop right out, or if the sound goes, pop right out, pop back in like you did just now.
Yep. I actually use the reload. The little reload arrow.
And it works just fine.
Seems to work just fine. I had to check that I was on the right. Network.
Well, Emily, you're getting love for your necklace.
Oh, thanks.
You made those beads, didn't
did.
you? Why don't you talk a little bit about that while I prepare what I'm going to do here? You
Sure.
made those.
I made these beads.
Yeah.
They're actually made from porcelain and earth and clay.
Hand me that. Let's see if we can zoom.
Can I take it off?
Yeah, do it.
Okay.
There we go. I'm zooming.
I've been kind of playing with this with a friend.
You have been.
For a while, a few months on this, and now they're kind of getting a little bit more refined.
Let's see. Look at how I'm gonna just come on in. Look at how we're controlling this camera.
Look at you.
But we miss you, Brandon.
Brandon's right there, looking over our shoulders. You guys see her over there filling orders.
Well,
Wave, Brandon.
She can't.
Oh,
She's
that's
not
right.
on the screen.
Sorry.
But we miss her.
We'll come back.
But everyone is so busy filling orders today.
Yeah, it's scary, the piles.
But isn't that awesome? So you made those out of, and
these are porcelain.
Those are fired?
Yeah, they're fired. These are porcelain. These are earth and clay, and these two are actually the same. This is just a bisque fire. So before you put glaze on it, they do a bisque firing.
Oh, cool.
And I like that color a whole lot, so I have some in that color.
And so some of these are these glazed then?
No glaze
these
at all.
These are all natural clay.
Just the way they come out. Yeah.
Janice Kang was asking, Janice 2.0 was asking if they were raku, but they're not.
No, they're just regular fire. I really know nothing about working with earthenware clay.
And so you just went to a clay place here locally, right? In Berkeley. Yeah. And did them. So you didn't have any special instruction or anything. You just went for it.
No, I did buy the, there's a certain kind of wire that you use to put these beads on when you put them in the kiln. And so I did buy some of that. And but other than that, I really just used my hands.
Oh, they're really cool.
Yeah, they're really fun, aren't they?
Really cool.
And then here's some, I forget what this color is, the distressed denim or the distressed blue.
I think it's distressed denim I think is what it is.
Yeah, because I thought that kind of went with it.
Well, it's really great. It goes perfectly with your shirt.
I know.
It's awesome.
And a little slidey knot. So
yeah, and the little slidey knot. So, everyone is giving you thumbs up for those.
Well, thank you.
And Gita did some exciting posting. She said her brother leaves for Denmark in 3 hours. That means she's going to have a whole bunch of bead shop orders that your brother's taking with you, and you're going to have sibling time. That is awesome.
Oh, her brother's bringing her beads from here.
Yeah, some of her things. So it's really exciting.
Does he live here in the Bay Area?
Yeah, no, he lives up in Oregon.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh. It's like that Bead Express.
It is, the Bead Express. Well, I guess we've had enough chitty-chat.
Are you carrying anything for someone else in your bag today, sir?
Right. No, not at all. Well, why don't we move the camera?
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
so
let's get overhead.
I'm going to actually take this so I can kind of zoom and stuff, and you hand me the camera across. Look at you guys. We're going to move the camera because you know what? We're not afraid. We're not afraid of moving that camera. And it's great. It's great to have everybody here. Emily, we've got people from all over.
I saw somebody from Moscow today.
Earlier. That's great. And we have someone, I think someone just came in from Greece, which was awesome. So it was really fantastic. So welcome. All right, so I'm going to take this. I'm going to turn this around like this. I'm going to kind of...
high-tech tripod.
That's right. Look at that.
That nobody knows about.
And we're going to just kind of put this up. And let's see our view. You can see what's going on, Em.
Yeah.
And we can kind of see.
Oops.
You guys can see all of our little background. But, you know, we're not afraid. Oh, and hello, Caracas. Hello, welcome, welcome. Ginger, is the sound turned up on your device? That's what I want to know. Ginger seems to be having trouble hearing us. Double check that. So this is good. Let's go ahead and put that down. I think maybe we can get a little...
I think I can go over here.
Oh, okay.
Because then I can kind of watch.
Okay.
Because I don't need to be right next to you.
All right, sounds good.
Not that I don't like that.
All right. And let's tighten it up just a little.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see how that looks. All right. I've got my notes right here, you guys. And we actually might have moved this camera a little bit too fast because we were going to talk about measuring, but
that's right. You can talk about measuring.
I guess I will. Yeah. Okay. So
there
we're going to get it.
There we are.
Let me see. Zooming out a little bit. Okay. Great. This looks good. We're a little messy. You can see that. My little bit of a mess, but in here are my hands, so we can see this okay. All right. So, you guys, we've had a lot of questions about, not only are we going to discuss infinity stitch today, right, which was how these pieces were made. We were also going to talk about length, okay, and how to size bracelets, because that is something that I think really challenges a lot of you. But also, I think it's not, if you have a few tricks up your sleeve, it's not as difficult as you might think. Okay? So I'm actually gonna move this back just a hair.
I could pull out just a little bit.
Yeah. And I think, no, it's good.
Okay.
I'm all right. I'm just thinking, right, Emily, this angle. If we can push that a little bit forward, I don't need to be quite so back.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, lengthwise, the things that you're going to need, you guys, to measure, of course. Let's start with...
Ooh, shoot. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, that was a little inadvertent zoom in. Remember to use 2 fingers.
That's right. You're going to start with a good tape measure. Okay? And a good tape measure, you're going to get a good wrist measurement. Now, some of you guys may have seen Janice and I make these pieces, okay, or make these little wrist measurements. There's one that we made at 6.5, and one that we made at 6 3/4. This one's mine, my wrist size. This one's Janice's, and all we used to do it was we used, yeah, have you got that over there?
Yeah.
We just used an old manila folder like this, and we just cut it. And we did this broadcast a while back. I don't know, you guys have seen it. But we just cut it. And then we measured. So like if Emily,
I'd love you.
bring your wrist
you to make
in here.
One for me. Too.
Yeah. So you can see, here's Emily's wrist here.
Big wrist.
Okay. And let's measure. I'll come around this way so you guys can see it. Okay. If I'm measuring Emily's wrist just like this, go ahead and lift your hand up for me. There we go. Emily's wrist is a hair over 7. I'm going to say, and come down just a little, we're adjusting the shot. So it's about 7 1/4. Can you guys see that there? That looks good. Then you also, for this measurement, we want this measurement to be fairly natural, right? We're not measuring for how the bracelet is going to fit. We want to measure the length of the wrist. So we're going to say 7 1/4. Okay?
Sounds good.
So I'm going to write that here. Okay. Where's my
underneath by your coffee cup.
Where's my pen at? There we go. 7 1/4, right? So then what we'll do is I'm just going to go ahead and roll this sucker up. And you can kind of make your little measurement. What I do is I come around and I have my little measurer, my little tape measure, and I let this open till it's about 7 1/4. Okay, and then I'll tape it in place. Okay, and then I'll double check that measurement. Whoops. Come on now. There we go. And then I'll just bring this sucker around. And we're at 7 1/4 here. Okay? Then what we do is we get our packing tape and we just cover it. So it's a nice, it's not super pretty, but it sure is handy. Okay? So then, once we have this all taken care of, I'm going to put this to the side, and I'm going to work with mine today. Mine is 6 3/4. What we're going to do, what I want to share with you now is how different pieces, depending on the sizes of the beads, this is really pretty. Where did this come from?
In some of the organizational boxes.
Really?
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I'll be honest, you guys.
You don't know that one?
I don't know if I've ever seen this bracelet before in my life. It's really great. Janice,
So,
did you make this?
For what I've always done with bracelets.
That's
is
hilarious.
when your beads are bigger in diameter, as you go around in a circle, it takes up some of the interior diameter.
Exactly.
So you have to kind of pre-plan for that a little bit.
Exactly.
So when you measure someone's wrist, I usually add some what I call ease, and Janice calls air sometimes, and that ease length kind of gives me the knowledge of how much the interior hole has to be.
Right.
I've really found that doing these laddering bracelets, I really have to be mindful of the pattern that I'm making and how long that pattern goes.
Right. Right. And because also, and this kind of illustrates the point, Em, you can see on this bracelet that I was so enamored of that I've never seen before in my life. See how, and you can see this with, and I don't know if you can zoom in so people can see.
I can sure try.
You can really see how the beads have some width there, right? This bracelet, this new sea dive that Janice did, see how since they're made with 11/0, see how there's not as much width, right?
Can you pull your hands apart just a little bit so that you can see against the white background? There you go.
There we go.
Great.
Janice, I was wondering if you made this one. See this one, JP, that I have in this hand, in my right hand? I have actually never seen this before. It's a new one to me.
I really like it.
I really like it too.
It's got all those
it has that
crusty
age check Picasso.
Yeah,
and the Hishi. I love it.
She said she didn't make it.
Yeah, it's great, Janice, isn't it though? I don't know. Emily found it in back and brought it here, and I'm like, I've never seen that bracelet before in my life. Also, so not only does this come into play for measuring, okay, the width of the bracelet, this one or this one, you can see that this is wider, okay, this one. But also, the next thing that you have to consider is, oh, what?
I was going to say, that one is one we were just talking about.
Right, this guy. We also want to consider how many wraps this piece is going to be, okay? So like with this one, this is one of the pieces that Karen did a while back, Karen's wrap. And this has, let's see, one, I don't know, this is maybe a 6 wrap, 2, 3, 4, this is a 5 wrap, okay? At least I think it is. When you wrap your bracelets, your wrap bracelets, they bunch up a lot more, right? So you're going to need some more room to have a bracelet like this fit than you would for a single strand like this, okay? So like if you look at my wrist here, okay, I've got all of, I'm bejeweled here on my wrist. Something like this little skinny guy right here, and then this multi-wrap strand with the shadows, those links, this bracelet's going to need a little more ease, okay? And maybe I would guess, Emily, that ease, and I'm really just guessing, I'm going on my instinct here, but I would say that you need between 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch of ease.
I actually add more than that.
Do you?
Yeah.
I was saying per strand. Per wrap.
Per wrap, yes, absolutely, because that cumulative one, yeah. If I was making a single go-round on for my wrist, I would want it to be door-to-door about 8 inches, because I know that that's kind of a comfortable fit for me. It's a little looser, and I tend to like my bracelet to move around.
Right, to move around a bit.
The personal aspect of all that comes into play. How do you like your pieces?
Right.
So.
And I think, so the way that I like things to fit, you can see, there we go. When I'm measuring my bracelets, I like to get a fingertip underneath, so that I feel like they're not super tight on me. And I also don't want them to feel like they're going to slide off. But like this shadow one, let me take this one off. My shadow 3 wrap, I can get a fingertip underneath, maybe not all 3 wraps, but it has some play to it for sure.
Right.
Okay? You can see I can.
Well, I think one of the advantages
that.
too to using leather is you can put on several knots with loops. So
at the end, right?
At the end, so you have that a little bit of flexibility. And if you're making it for someone and you're going to give it to them, let them pick out the one they like, and then they can cut the extra off. So if there's if you've made it too long, and they're on the shortest one, they can always cut off.
And it's
that
fine.
Extra.
Yeah, and Janice was mentioning the our form, like we've got here, this guy. You can just take your piece off the board, and you just wrap it as many times as you need it to be. These forms, you guys, I think are real lifesavers. So you can see if this were mine, and this were 6 3/4 for a larger wrist, you can see I'm coming up a little short here, right? And especially, let's look at how this is wrapped. See, sometimes what I do when I wear my pieces, my wraps don't always stack one up against the other. They crisscross over.
Well, yeah, they're going to crisscross some, sure.
And you can see also, see this 8mm bead right here? I think it's an 8. Is it an 8? No, it's a 6. It's a 6. 6mm bead. It takes up much more room than these flat little hematite cut beads. So many factors come into play. But first, get yourself a baseline measurement. Figure out what your wrist is. Make yourself a form. Okay? Then, the more wraps that you need, the more ease you're going to have to build in. Right?
Yeah.
Two good rules of thumb.
Interestingly, it's sort of a fairly easy measurement to get someone to take long distance. If your friend lives across the country and you're going to make her a bracelet,
all they have to do, right?
All they have to do is measure it and send you that measurement.
Right. So I would go here, and I would tell your friend to do it not so it's tight that it's strangling your wrist, but the actual wrist measurement. Okay. So that's what I would do.
You're getting some love for that crossing and
the crisscross look.
Yeah,
yes.
The crisscross look is really cool.
Yeah.
It looks like you're wearing a ton of bracelets, and it turns out it's just one.
It's just one. And you know me, I love to, now that I've taken off my big bracelet pile, I love all of these guys. I'm going to put all of this stuff here. Now, the next thing, that plays into another factor, and it's something, Emily, that we were talking about this morning as we were trying on Janice's beautiful bracelets. And that is layout of a piece. Let me go back to this piece that Karen created here. Think about, and what I try and do, and especially even with like Janice's color study, think about every section, I'm going to grab another one here, as its own bracelet. Does that make sense? I don't know, do we want to...
Well, especially if you're making multiple wraps.
Do you want to zoom in a little bit more?
Yeah, you'd want to have every one of them gets enough attention.
Right. Its own place to shine. Right. Even this guy that I made here. Okay. So each of these wraps, right, is its own bracelet.
Yeah.
So when I'm designing a wrap bracelet, I try and not only do I want all of my beads, let's say like in this one, to be harmonious here, but you also need to think about what the beads are going to look like once they're stacked together, right? Does that make sense? So not only are you working on the design in a linear way, you're also working it in a finished jewelry. How does that finished jewelry look way? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, especially with color study, and I know Janice will say this when she's working on this color study, is with this one, she just started, jumped in, and then just kept going with different techniques that she liked. So you don't have to pre-plan too much, but I think that this is a great one for creating your color palette and then jumping in and seeing, you know, make each wrap kind of distinct. So to measure for that, if my wrist is about 6 3/4, and let's say that I want my bracelet to fit, including clasp, maybe door to door, right, as we would say, maybe about 7 inches if it's a skinny one. Maybe it's about 7 1/4 if it's a little heavier, beads are a little bit bigger. I want to make my sections of my bracelet. Janice has made hers about 6 1/2. I might make mine from about 6 1/2 to 6 3/4. Let's see, this bracelet is one of mine. How long have I made it? This one's about 6 1/4. This one is a little over, about 7 1/2. So as long as they kind of fall in about the same length, you're going to be fine. Okay? What you don't, and it also depends. I mean, if you do a wrap bracelet and you have a transition right in the middle, it doesn't really make any difference. But just know that when you are creating these, this is going to be one full wrap around your wrist.
And even if you do have a transition in the middle, you know, using a big shadow or
something, yeah,
a little bit of macrame, and then that transition happens. There's all kinds of fun things you can do to have that transition. If you run out of beads, you know,
right, make that transition
you just don't have enough to
interesting.
make the whole length. You could, if you know ahead of time that you're a little short, maybe you could do those transitions consistently throughout the piece, or add charms, or you know, anything that you want to have on that point or that edge of the piece in between the different sections.
And that kind of brings us to our next point that we want to talk about, is the actual design and layout. Okay, so this is another little tool that you've seen us use and that I've made myself. I'm going to use some handy tape. I don't know if you can see this, okay, if I'm in the right area.
You're good. I'm going to move over just a smidge.
But I've just gotten a piece of cardstock. Whoops. And I've made a little accordion fold. Like this. And this gives me a little place to lay out my design, if you're so inclined. And if I'm looking to have my measurement of my bracelet be 7 inches door to door, what I can do is I can always add that button in if I want, and then start laying things out this way. Okay? This double wrap that Janice has here, laying out when you're doing a 2 wrap, you can see, let me open it up first so you can see it. Come on now. Can I get it? There we go. I know. I love the accordion thing. It's really
very
helpful.
clever.
So can you see how with this piece, this first section has this blue section in between, and then it finishes with that section here. So as I wrap, see, and it fits everybody differently.
Mm-hmm.
You can see
a 50-50 split.
Yeah, there. So some of the tile beads are lining up, and then over here, things, you've got some of your blue. So with the double wrap, sometimes I think it's almost a little bit harder to design for, because you want to really think about, well, what's lining up against each other.
It might be easier to take a double wrap and split it into thirds or even into quarters, rather than trying to do it 50-50.
Right.
So that you just have more patterning going on.
Right, that's true. So you could do like this quarter here, that quarter there. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And yes, we do carry the handy tape. I love it.
Gita supplied the link already.
Thank you, Gita. So you can use this little accordion to kind of start to, lay your pieces out, and, obviously not with seed beads, but you can really see, like if you have a bracelet, let's say that you wanted to, I don't know, even if you wanted to copy, see how, I don't know if you can see down in there, Em.
You know what, if you open the accordion up just a little bit.
I'm going to get rid of that button. But see, you can, this would also be really helpful if I wanted to ladder this piece and kind of copy what I've done here or take inspiration from here. It holds it up kind of nicely, kind of, facing you like this. Or if you are comparing and contrasting a couple of your pieces, like this one and like this one, right? You can kind of see, oh, yeah, I see how that design goes. And then you can kind of lay them out. So it's a good little, I don't know, little handy little tool for you to use, and it costs you nothing except virtually nothing except a piece of paper. Okay. So any other questions, throw them out there. I'll be glad to answer them about measuring, but hopefully that's given you some good guidelines.
So
measure your wrist. Oh, go ahead.
Jackie threw out the question, for all of you who sell your pieces, do you have an average size that works for the majority of your customers? So I would say, I guess in my experience, that an average size is in that 6 to 6 3/4 kind of number. That finishing at about 7 inches is pretty average for most women.
Yeah, about a 7-inch bracelet.
That's such a hard thing to say. But I think the idea of having the extra loops on the end, so that you could cut it off right at the moment, or you can allow people to cut it off. You advise them to cut it off.
And what Emily's meaning is, like, if this was a loop here, and let's say, you created a piece that had, I'm kind of marrying these two, but you had some macrame here, a loop here, some more macrame, another loop in macrame, or a knot, or whatever. This could be like, what's that? Snip a slip, right? Yeah. You snip the slip as short as you need it.
Right.
It's the same thing here. You could cut off this extra loop
right at the moment of sale, or advise them to allow them to cut that extra loop off too. I think it's one of the things that you have to do when you sell your jewelry is be a good market researcher, and that means listening to your customers. And if you've made up a bunch and they're all too short, then you know that you needed to go longer. And to literally make those kind of notations so that the majority of your pieces are one way or the other,
right? And
you get that feedback right away, so you can plan for it for the next outing.
Yeah. No, I think 2 loops, people are loving the 2 loops. Yes, good one.
And Joanne says, hi from cold London town.
Oh, hello, Joanne. Oh, I miss London. Yes. Ever so. So, let's get started with the infinity stitch, shall we?
Yep.
And you guys, there is a great infinity stitch skill builder that's on, I'll take that one. That's on the web, and you guys have seen us infinity until the cows come home. That's right.
And back, beyond.
And back, and to infinity and beyond. But I wanted to show some of the reasons why we would choose infinity stitch for this piece versus regular laddering for other pieces. Okay? So I don't know if you can get in here kind of tight.
Yep.
I only have one of Janice's bracelets. I've lost the other one.
No, you haven't.
I have.
They're there. You just had them a
there.
moment ago.
I had it in my hand.
Is it in the accordion?
No. Oh, it might be in the accordion. Yes. I lost it in the accordion.
And there's another one too. There's 3.
No.
No? Only 2?
No, only 2.
Okay.
Because this is a double wrap.
You're right.
So it looks like, see, you fooled yourself. So let me get this one down. Actually, it's not this one I want. I want another one that it's this one here. I want to get this one and this one. Okay. I think this all makes sense.
Just got a warning that our Mevo battery is low. Can I plug in?
Oh, yeah.
Let me go grab the plug.
Do it. Yeah. We don't. Our Mevo. Well, we'll take care of it. So I want you guys to see here some of the differences between this infinity stitch piece and then this traditional laddering piece. First and foremost, and Em, will you turn that around because I want to get in a little bit tighter.
Sure. Feels like the heater's on.
There we go.
There we go.
So I can reach it. Okay, let me get in a little bit tighter here so you guys can see it. There we go. So it depends, you guys, on the beads you're using, the hole sizes of the beads, and the weight of the thread that you're using. It really depends on, at least in my view, the stitch that you're going to use. Okay? So with small beads like this, okay, these are just the small 11-aught seed beads for this sea dive project. If I were going to do a 2-tail laddering project, if I'm trying to shove a thread going this way and shoving a thread going this way, it would be really impossible because that hole size is so super small. Okay? This bead, this 6-aught, and if I pull this kind of to the side, you can see there's a pretty big hole there. And I want to use pretty heavy cord. Maybe I want to use tough cord, maybe tough cord 3, maybe Ceylon, even regular Ceylon singled and passing back and through. So, but something like this thread, if it were doubled and I were laddering like the infinity stitch and you put my doubled thread through here and then go under and pass that doubled thread back through there, it would just be too much thread, right? The thread would be too bulky, if that makes sense. So larger beads like this, when you're using a heavier cord, I might default to laddering with two strands. Smaller beads like this, or beads that might be difficult to push a strand coming through this way or that way, like these bugles, this is also a good reason to use the infinity stitch. And also, we use KO here for this stitch. 2 pieces of KO, one going through one way, one going through the other way, would really be hard to string.
You know, one of the things that I really noticed about the difference, and I have always been a big traditional laddering.
Right. From side to side.
Left to right, passing through the beads and around the
Having
leather.
one strand going through here, one strand here, coming around, and then doing the same thing. One strand here,
to me, it's
one
very
strand
rhythmical. But I do like the heaviness of the cord on the outside of the leather.
I do too.
And that
I really do.
So sometimes it's the look, not just the
function. No,
of
exactly.
What I'm kind of going for.
And so using beads like this 6mm bead, I feel like laddering that with KO, maybe doubled would be okay, but I want to see a heavier cord.
You know, you could also do Fireline if you're feeling like you had that, make that that texture or durability versus a thin aesthetic kind of, or thin because of holes kind of process.
Right.
That would be another way to beef it up a little bit.
And what I used for my the Shadows bracelet that I wear all the time, I used KO for this one. And you can see I waxed my KO pretty well. And I wear this sucker all the time. And it's holding up really, really well.
Yeah, I'm impressed actually. KO's sort of a newish thread for me. And I am impressed at its durability for sure.
And I just liked the way that this gray KO worked. I used that doubled strand, and it's settling in pretty nicely. I think it's pretty good. I could have also, though, I thought about using Ceylon in fine and doubling that over and doing that with infinity stitch. Yeah. That would work. Yeah.
Yeah, Anna says she was using Fireline with the 6mm beads, and that's a smart call. And if it's something that's going to be worn 24/7, or it's a it's for a younger person who may not be ready to take it off every time they hop in the shower or go swimming, Fireline's a really nice choice. And then also the waxed cotton that we had, sort of the vegan version of leather. That'll actually hold it better, I think, to the
around
moisture.
the outside.
Yeah, around the moisture issue.
Janice and I have been looking at some new colors of that waxed cotton, so we may be adding some colors on JP.
Love it.
That's right. How do I get my tough cord from twisting out of control?
You know, Raquel, one of the things I noticed that if you are using a needle with your tough cord, one tends to twist as one's going along. It's not something. It's something you could be very super conscious of, to not twist, or periodically take a little moment and
untwist your thread.
Untwist your thread a little bit.
That happens a lot with any time you use fiber. I find that sometimes when I'm knitting or even crocheting, sometimes my thread gets a little kooky.
Yep.
Right?
Sorry, we had a little
a
little inadvertent. I didn't even mean to touch it, and I reached out for it.
That's all right.
Sorry, we're back.
So you can see how liberally, you guys, while we were talking about that, how liberally I've waxed my thread. I really am a pretty heavy waxer with this KO when I'm doing infinity, and it also helps me tame that thread so it stays where I put it. Now, I am going to...
Alice House says on tough cord and Ceylon she uses a hair
straightener.
straightener.
I've heard that. You use like a straightening iron, a flattening iron, and it works really well. Yep.
Well, and I like on the...
I'm going to needle this thread.
On KO, when it comes off the spool, it sometimes has a little bit of a Shirley Temple curl to it.
Yeah, it does.
And I'll just give it a tug.
Right.
And that tends to me, relax it a bit. It's not pre-waxed, but it definitely has a finished sheen to it, like it's been heated to have that little bit of a kind of sticking together feel.
Right.
But the wax is, I second the wax.
I am a waxer for sure. But I'm not a very good needle threader today. There we go. My first needle, I think, was used, so it had some gook in the eye. But I think, I split this.
It should pull through anyway, since that's a fibery. Yeah, just pull the rest of it through.
I'm going to try, Emily. Yes. All right, look at that. Bam. So now, to set up for our laddering project, Janice also, I wanted to point out the use of the leather in this, okay? Now, the leather in this sea dive, Janice chose 1mm, which was a bold choice, and I like it. We've been using this 1mm on our other stack bracelets. We've used it in the laddered stacks, and it looked really nice. The thing, though, about this 1mm leather is it can be fragile, right?
Yeah.
So before I work with my 1mm, I really check it to make sure that it's free of flaws and stuff like that. And also, I would say that 1mm, if you're using a larger bead like this 6mm, probably isn't appropriate. Right? I don't know.
I guess I'd look at it sort of in the sense of I want it to be
You want the weight to balance.
A little bit. And I think you could make arguments for both directions. Little tiny beads on big leather and big beads on littler leather. I think you could make an argument for either way. When it begins to look way out of balance, then I draw the line.
Right.
But I think a little bit of irregularity is okay.
Is okay, yeah. I do too. And but I do, if you're if you're using some heavier beads, I think it would be fine. I think maybe if you're making this whole thing, you know, larger beads, 6 mil and above, I might go ahead and pop your leather up to the 1.5. But, you know, you do you. Experiment with what works. The other thing I also wanted to point out, sometimes the metallic leathers, you guys, can be just slightly thicker because of the metallic coating. Right? So a 1.5 millimeter leather that's not metallic, like this one, and a 1.5 that is metallic, and you can even kind of see that. I don't know if you can zoom in a little bit. Stop watching the broadcast and zoom in, Emily Miller. But you could see that this metallic leather is just a little...
I never would have thought that I would have loved the metallic leather, but I really do.
I do love it.
I do.
I do love it.
I do. That gunmetal-y one is so pretty.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is, not that it makes that big of a difference, but sometimes if you're trying to string stuff on this leather, it does. It does make a difference. Okay.
We don't do any conditioning to the leather, Nancy.
We don't. You could. I mean, and actually Karen was asking that question yesterday. She was like, Kate, do we ever condition this leather? And I said, no, we don't, but we could. It wouldn't hurt it. Sometimes, I don't know, it depends on where you live. If you live in a climate that's a little bit drier or something, I don't know, conditioning your leather with some leather conditioner wouldn't be a terrible idea, I guess.
Or even a little, sort of saddle soap to keep it, to help keep it drier, keep it from absorbing water.
Yeah. Now, to start a bracelet like this, and we've got all of the materials and everything on the different, for both of these pieces. We've got them on the project pages. But what we're starting with is we have this small mermaid button. And this mermaid button here, this is a green girl button, all on, you can find them all on beadshop.com. And you can, to start this project, you can see how Janice macrameed. And you have seen me, and you might want to get in a little bit tighter on this. You've seen us start our macrame project, or start a macrame project like this several times. And all of you do here is you just get your KO and you start your little macrame knots. I'll set this up so you guys can see it, but I'm actually going to start mine a little bit differently than the macrame. So I'm going to get my piece of twine to set up my board. And on our skill builders on our website, you can find how to set up a board for laddering. There's lots of skill builders on there for you to use and learn. So I'm going to go over this a little bit more quickly. But I'm going to use the Twine Method today, okay? And I'm going to use my beloved clamper, which is right there. And if I were going to start for macrame, I have my piece here. I'm going to get that guy, and I'm going to cut. I don't need this to be terribly long. There we go. And I'll clip this. I'm going to tie a little temporary knot over here on this side, just a little loop and around. And hey, Em, will you grab me I'm going to use a rubber band.
Oh.
Will you grab one for me?
Be happy to grab one.
You know where those rubber bands are living. Thank you. Cara they're always listening. Thank you, Cara. Coming to the rescue. This little rubber band trick is a good one.
It's a real good one.
We just come around and look at how that rubber band just comes around here. Snaps into place and helps me tension my board Exactly. Right? Look at that tension. It's perfect. Now, Janice's little trick of getting a little spool of thread. In this case, I've got some regular seal-on that I'm doing right there. But I wanted to show you this little trick in case you missed it, and then I'll get to your question. Is the way Janice does it, and she showed me how to do this, is you start, you can see I've doubled over my KO over my needle. You guys can see that. I'll come in and I'll macrame with the tail. I'll start by just coming in, making my little macrame loop, and macrameing with that tail. And as I do my macrame knots on down, my needle will be in position to start to do my laddering. Right? What I'm going to do for this one, give you a little bit of a variation on a theme, is I'm going to knot this in, and then question M that you had.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm going to undo this
Lynn
real quick.
Nicole. Hi, Lynn Nicole.
Hi, Lynn Nicole.
She had a question. She has some 1 millimeter leather in this color, and it seems that she feels like she can see a seam or a join where it's overlapped. Anything she could or should do to strengthen that area up?
Well, what I would do, Lynn Nicole, is I would kind of do this to it. Really kind of see if that seam will hold.
And I would think as long as it's not where the button is or the loop, it should be kind of okay.
It should be okay because you're going to ladder over that and strengthen it, but I'd give it the pull test, okay, to make sure.
There's a bunch of folks who coming in late felt they needed to be in detention.
Oh.
So they were late for class.
You know what? What we're going to do is we're going to make you come here to the office and package orders. That's your punishment. That's what we've got.
Careful what you wish for.
Right. We are working so hard, you guys, to get your orders out. We're so appreciative of all of your holiday orders, and we're working as fast as we can.
I don't think you guys want to see the stacks of paper that they're working on against.
So I want you, Emily, will you get nice and tight in here because I want people to see how I'm connecting this. So this is a good alternate if you don't have time to macrame. Oh, great, it passed the pull test. Awesome. If you don't have time to macrame or the inclination. Okay. What I've done is I have made a little overhand knot here. But can you see how my KO is also in there? And I'm going to knot my KO into place. Okay? And I'm just going to come in and I'm going to add a little bit of hypo cement before I tighten that knot closed. Everyone's so stoked. All right, you guys. And we'll tighten this up. And see that?
Debbie's on her way.
All right, Debbie, don't say that lightly. I'm going to just tighten everything up, right? Tighten, tighten, tighten. There we go. And can you see now that piece of KO is embedded in that knot? Okay. So later, oh, I didn't put my lid, put my lid on. After my glue has dried,
put it in a little cup upright.
Yeah, I'll put it in there. There we go. After my glue is dried, I'll come in and I'll cut that tail away. I think you can zoom out a little bit. It's not called zooming out, pan out, I guess.
Oh, zoom in, zoom out.
I don't know. The fancy words. So now I'm ready to set my piece back up. Okay. Well, I did want to say while I'm doing this, if anyone is traveling to the Bay Area and is around and would like to be on a Facebook Live episode with us, we would love to have you.
Oh boy.
I was going to put that up on our Facebook page too. That if you're around and you would like to be someone who just comes in and like if you were here today with us, I'd have you sitting at the end of the table, I don't know, making the project along with me, or I don't know, you know. So, and Janice Kang, you are just in the South Bay, so I think you should take advantage of that and come on and be
Debbie
one
McKee
of our
says
guests.
she was born and raised in Redwood City.
Right? So if you guys are traveling, you would just need to let me know, and we can arrange it. I think it would be really, really fun, and we would have a guest star, and that guest star would be you. And believe me, I've got your back. I'm not teasing, Nancy. I am not teasing. Just shoot me an email. If you're going to be around, we'll make it happen. I think it would be really fun. So now I'm ready. You guys have seen me. We are in Redwood City. Janice, we're right across the highway from some place that you go once in a while, right? Oh, Janice is saying yes. When we move to a bigger office, we want to have an area for an audience. Yes, I think it would be so fun. Not every show, but you know, once a month. I think it would be really fun. So Diane, you're asking how long should the KO? Yeah, I'm ready. Diane's asking how long the KO should be. So I'm going to say, you guys, this beadboard that I'm using is about 14 inches long. So I used 2 lengths of my beadboard. Okay? So, but you use, again, you do you. It's not really that hard to add thread, and sometimes it's a little hard for me to negotiate a really long piece. So twice the board length always works for me. Okay.
Have you heard of Pete's Harbor?
No, I haven't.
And we're welcome in Frankenmuth, Michigan.
Oh, I love it.
Michigan's
I love
little
it.
Bavaria.
Yeah. No, we would so love it, you guys. It would be really fun.
Yep.
So now, according to Janice's Skill Builder, what we want to do is, and let's look at the sample that I've got here, especially when you're starting with, Randy, I would love it if you came and taught with me. It would be so fun. We could do a really epic broadcast. So you can see here, Janice has tapered up, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of seed beads, and then that taper is the same. Those 4 seed beads are the same length as these 2 3mm beads. Now this is really important because that tapering up makes a nice elegant end, I think, right?
Yeah.
And it also keeps your beads from, it seats everything nicely, too.
Well,
right?
you are graduating up into the width.
The width of what your bracelet is going to be.
Right.
So I'm going to just start by...
Gita says she's changing continents.
Well, Gita, then who will we come visit when we go to Denmark? But we will. We'll make this happen. I'm going to put on my first bead. Whoops. And of course, can you guys see this over here? Of course, I'm tangled. But if you tangle, just take a breath, push it aside. There we go.
The cat grabs your thread, push it aside.
Push it aside. Now, we're going to have our first bead. We put it into position. Now notice, see, I've gone over.
Hold on a second.
I'm just going to come up
I'm going to
really
come a little
tight.
close, and I'm going to have you,
Yeah,
nope,
is that better?
other way.
Whoops. This way?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, hold on. And then I'm going to have you drop your right hand out of the way a little bit. There you go.
Okay, can we see that? So I've gone underneath this side. Now I'm going to come over and back through my seed bead, trying not to split my KO.
Aiming for the roof of the tube of the bead.
Yes, roof of the bead. Tightening it up. Now I've gone through the bead, so I'm doing a little figure 8, you guys, so I need to go underneath. And you can watch for more details on this laddering. We did laddered stacks with this infinity stitch. So you can get a little more, I don't know, in-depth instruction. We like to, on this first bead, go through one more time. And then back through. That keeps this first bead nice and anchored. How am I doing? Is my arm in the way? I feel like it is.
No.
Is that
now,
better?
if you do that, then every time you stitch with your right hand, you cover it up.
I cover it? Okay. I feel like, I don't know. Maybe I'll just do that.
Maybe next time we're going to come in on your other shoulder.
On my other side. That's even a better idea.
Yeah.
We're getting the hang of this camera thing, you guys, eventually.
Debbie says you're doing great.
Am I doing great, Debbie? Mm-hmm. Thank you. So now I'm going to pick up 2. Now, can you see how I went underneath automatically?
Yes, Janice, we do need a drone. You're absolutely right.
I was threatening that I would get a GoPro and wear it on my head.
I just want to come from either that or we get a mirror or something. We gotta get over the head.
We gotta get over the top, yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta happen.
So I've gone underneath the right side, back through my beads, tighten everything up. I'm going to pinch this with my fingers.
Janice says she loves the GoPro. She wants. Can I get one?
Yes, Janice. I think we need GoPros. I'm serious about that because it's right from our perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be looking at it right here, wearing it on my head. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. You never know what we're going to come up with. The thing that I want you guys to really, really be aware of when you start your infinity, just like any kind of weaving, one side of your, what I'm going to call the selvage edge, is going to look really good, and one side's going to look not so good. And it's just because usually it's the side, it's my right hand, so I'm right-handed. Even when I do regular weaving, the right side of my weaving looks great, the left side not so much. So you really see how there's that little thread bubble and stuff there? For these first stitches, you may need to come in with your tweezer, your knotting tweezer, or as Janice likes to call it, the unknotting tweezer, and give it just a little bit of love. See, there's a little bit of space there too, but I'm going to try.
So I would have split the sides to open it up, and then tidied that up a little bit.
Tidied it down, yeah. I'm going to just try and get it here, and then I'll do that, Emily, splitting like this, Em, right, is what you did?
Yes.
And tightened it in.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So that's so much much more even and much tighter. And if you do need to move these first little threads around, you can do that with your tweezer. There we go. And these setup rows, you guys, it's really important to get these setup rows right, because if you don't, it doesn't look great. Okay. And see how I'm coming over the left hand, and I'm going under the right hand.
Debbie McKee is suggesting a beadathon to pay for the new equipment, including the new espresso.
Right? I think that GoPro...
Maybe we could get them to sponsor us.
I think they should. So if anyone from GoPro, if you're out there watching,
GoPro?
Crafting with a GoPro camera is not really a thing, right?
Could be.
And I think it could be. So this is a direct message from Kate Richburg of beadshop.com to GoPro. If you want to start breaking in that craft market with your GoPro, send us a camera. We'll do right by you.
Absolutely.
How was that, you guys? How was that? Was that a good one?
Say, hey, Ma,
do you think?
Drive safe.
Oh, my mom's on the road. Right. Excellent. Drive carefully, Ma. Okay, so I'm coming and underneath, and then I've got all 4 of my setup rows ready to go.
So one of the things I like about laddering with the 2-needle laddering is that the sides are sort of very consistent looking. And I don't find that I have much of a of a difference from left to right. I don't feel like I could tell later which was my left side or my right side. But with the infinity laddering, it's a little more effort to be more consistent.
It is.
For sure.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think, but just having your little knotting tweezers or your awl will really work. So now I'm going to check my work, and I'm going to check that I don't have, that my bead rows, I guess, aren't too close up to one another. And it looks good. So now I'm ready to jump in to the actual beading of the project. Now I want to pull out, let's go a little bit wider here.
Trish says, should we all send links to GoPro? Yes.
Totally. Looking up and back down a GoPro would mean everyone would get seasick. Well, I don't know. We could, or we could wear, I don't know. I think we could make it go.
it would be stationary, but it could be right over your head.
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll think of something, you know. We'll make it happen. So let's take a look at Janice's design here. So here's where I've started. Where did I start? Here we go. No, this guy. Sorry. I've used a bit of a different color. But you want to start thinking about the different palettes, the different beads that you have. Do you want to go out a little bit bigger, Em? So we've got it bigger.
Give it a sec.
Oh, okay, there we go. And what Janice used here, I think, to great effect, is she used color blocking. She did a set of 3 and 3 with this purple, and this is the, I'll tell you, the snake orchid. And then this is the Picasso green turquoise. And doing this color blocking, I think, is really, really effective. She's also does the more color blocking with the 11-aughts. And I think this is genius. I love the way this looks. Can you see how Janice has made like these little rectangles? 3 beads, or 4 beads here that are all the same color, and then 1, then 2, then 1.
Hold it for just a sec. Stay right there.
I love the way that pattern looks. Okay, I love it. Then, as we move down the stack, or move down the strand, she tossed in a Checkmate's tile, which is great. And you can see that Checkmate's tile and the 4 11-aughts are the same width. And just throwing in another little color block in there. And then, can you see this whole piece? And I think this is a great way to do patterning, and we talk about this a lot. Come all the way here, she stopped here, and then she mirrored on this side, right? So it has kind of a random look to it.
You really only have to design half the bracelet.
But exactly, you only have to design half. So let's pan out a little bit on this one so we can see the whole thing. Okay. But I think it's a really effective use of blocking with the color. Okay. Now on this one, she's kind of done the same thing. Let's take a look. The Checkmate's tiles, and Janice came up to 3 here, and you can see that the leather kind of comes out to here and here. So you don't have to start with the 4. You could go with 3 and then let that Checkmate's tile make the leather the correct width. And then see what she did here with the color blocking. Again, using those 11-aught seed beads as a little frame, and then doing the opposite patterning with that color. Again, the same thing, 3, using that same little, I don't know, motif maybe there, and then all the way over. Then just doing this guy, going, stopping right here, and then flipping it all over. So can you see how this portion here is exactly the same, but it's just a flipped pattern. Then if we look at the end, it looks like, and I'm guessing, if I know Janice the way that she designs, and I think that I do, sometimes she, like I do, kind of likes to go along, and then go, oh, you know what? I'm going to switch this up a little bit. And so she pulled that pattern motif from the beginning of this section. And then I think she was thinking, oh my gosh, I only need to make this a 2-strander. Or she was also maybe thinking, I've got to get this over to the office, I better stop stringing. One of the two, right? But she finished it with kind of a little deliberate design here, or a deliberate pattern. So it has a feel of, oh, yeah, I'm coming to the end right here and tapering down. So this particular one, I think, is a great example of color blocking, repeating motifs, going up to your pattern and flipping it over to create a section, and then finishing it off in a way that kind of mimics what we've got going on at the beginning, and finishing it with a nice little taper. Okay. See, she said you were having so much fun. I knew you were, Janice. At about right here, you're like, I'm having fun. And then I think you're realizing, oh my gosh, I need to finish it. So I think this little closure motif is a really nice one. It's really good. So let me just throw in one tile bead. Tile beads work the same way. But let me just show you a quick infinity stitch with these 2 holes, and then we'll talk closing, and then we'll bring our broadcast to an end. Do we have that single, so I don't actually have to open this one? I should have had those on reserve. These Checkmates tiles that we used, these are the Picasso Persian turquoise, which are great. And Janice actually used our lapis rounds in this. It's the 4mm lapis. And I think it really lends this design a, I don't know, a weight. You know, doing it all in glass I love, but throwing in a little bit of semi-precious there.
You know, I think that
it's so delicious.
The color in all semi-precious is always so variable. And I think that's what draws me to the Picasso, liking those so much, is that they're a little bit, each one a little unique. And I think matte stone is, I've always loved matte glass, but matte stone is just crazy making.
Crazy.
I want to roll around in it.
And what I love is the contrast of this matte lapis here. But notice, look at this little motif that Janice made here. This is 2, 4, 6, 8. This is 9 beads right here.
And
but
that would
look
be
at how
that could be one of those
charming that is.
Little transitions
a
between
great transition.
one grouping and the next grouping is to have some, you know, if you've got, sometimes you have a little bead where you don't have very many of them. You don't even have enough for an earring. But you're like, I really love this little bead and I want to play with it.
Right. All you need is like one of these little guys. Yeah. Right. And notice here how Janice had this 4mm, then she tapered down to the 2, so it tapered down in the middle of that motif, and then she came back out. So there's really, when we say there is no hard fast rule, what we mean is there's no hard fast rule.
There really is no hard fast rule.
But look at, that's 9 little beads, and it's, you know, that light, that contrast, dark to medium to light to medium to light, and back to dark. It's really,
couldn't be any cuter.
It's so good. I love it. I love it. So let me show you, just as a refresher, and because I know some of you are new, let me ladder with this tile. And I'm going to put a couple in, and then we'll wrap things up. So for my tile, my Checkmates tile, I've come around, I've gone underneath, I'm going to go through the top hole of my tile.
Hang on, slow down just a moment.
Right, that's exactly right, Janice K.
Tim Gunn, making it work.
Tim Gunn, my personal hero.
Make it work.
Make it work, kids, make it work. So there it is, there's my tile. My needle goes under the work. And then we go back up, and so we treat each hole of this bead like it's a single bead. Okay. And I also, can you guys see, I didn't even mention this about the thread color that we chose. We didn't match, Janice didn't match a thread color. She contrasted her thread color. So it really becomes a part of the design of the piece, right? I love doing that. I'm doing a piece right now that I meant to finish last weekend and show you guys. Maybe I'll give you a sneak peek this weekend if I can get to it. But where I'm using the lighter leather with a darker KO.
Nice.
And it just looks so good. Okay, so see how I've laddered both of those in. Now what JP did is she, on a lot of them, not all of them, but she put in a single line of 11/0. I'm going to go underneath, get those 11/0 in there, up and over the top. Sorry, I know I keep blocking. We'll get this right. Okay, and now we'll just add another Checkmate's tile.
Sort of has a little bit of a bezeled look to it, don't you think?
Yes. And you could even make this, we could bezel this completely, Emily, by making this 6 seed beads, right?
Right.
And then putting a seed bead on either side of that Checkmate's
right. It would look
tile.
cute like
it would
that
look
too.
great. And tila beads, you guys, and half tilas work the same way.
Deborah has a cautionary tale about bidding on eBay. Went $1 over the original price. $400 later, I won. Wow.
Well, hopefully you've got a lot of good stones to work with.
Yeah.
There we go. Underneath, back through, and there we go. There you are now, as Janice likes to say. Okay. And look at how nice. It's really, I think, even working with this monochromatic palette, I just pulled these. Honestly, I don't know what color tiles, Checkmate's tiles these are. We can check. I just grabbed them out of our bits and pieces bowl. But having a monochromatic palette like this up against this beautiful kind of the distressed mahogany Indian leather is really good. And these seed beads, I think these are these the eucalyptus? I think that's what these are,
yes.
Right? The 4456.
No, it's 4481.
Oh,
sorry.
4481. Oh, sorry, I was reading the wrong one. 4481, the opaque eucalyptus. Yeah. Just a beautiful color.
One of those newish 3 colors that we can't really live without anymore.
Really nice. So let me just talk a little bit about closing, because we're getting to where we need to sign off, which is always sad for me, and hopefully for you guys. But you have seen us close off a million times, but I want to just let's discuss some of the different ways that you can do this. We'll start off by looking at what Janice used. Okay. Just like that. There we go. Okay. So I would taper down just like you did at the beginning. So let's take a look at one of Janice's pieces here. She tapered down. And then what Janice did was, and Janice, I'm guessing that what you did here is you used the KO to macrame. And I think I can see it there. You've come through this last bead, and you added an extra, I bet she added an extra thread. Let me show you guys this real quick. because if I were to cut this thread, let's pretend I've tapered this down, you guys, okay? If I were to cut this thread and macrame with 1 KO one way and 1 KO the other, my macrame would be super skinny.
Right.
Right? So I know that this is what Janice did.
She's tricky.
She got a second piece of KO. And I bet she put it behind the piece like this. This one isn't waxed, so just bear with me. And then she just started her macrame. And that little random thread that she put behind everything,
just is there for a little bulk and filler.
Yep, just comes right in. Let's pretend that this is nice and tight. There we go. And so can you see how the macrame is now, this macrame, the one at the top when you did it with the double thread, and the one at the bottom match in thickness. Okay? It's very terribly clever, Janice. Terribly clever. Get that going the right way. And again, we have a lot of really great tutorials on the macrame closure. But you can see that's starting to come up. And then I would just macrame on down. I'd use my hypo cement to glue it down. I'd use that hypo. I'd let it sit overnight, and then I'd clip my tails away. So you can see on JP's that she has here, she finished with the macrame, and she left an opening for the button. Sometimes you guys have a little bit of trouble, or not you guys, not you out there. One may have trouble measuring for the button. You want to make sure that you have enough room so that button slides in easily, but not too easily. Right, Em?
Mm-hmm.
If it's too easily,
you lose your bracelet.
You do. It'll just slide right off, especially with kind of a flattish button like this. But if it's too wide or too long, this opening, that button's going to fall right out. Too tight, that leather's going to stretch. It's going to be a, what do I want to say?
Poor wearing.
Yeah, a flash point where it might break. Okay. Another way that you could finish, and let me see if we have one here. I have it on mine. On my beloved Shadows bracelet, I have silk wrapped, and you can silk wrap on that. And the silk wrapping, can you see, I don't know, Em, if you can get up really close there. I know everything seems to be gray.
That's just tight. So come to the right.
Yeah.
There you go. Down.
Here. There.
Down.
You're good.
There you go. Right
okay.
there. Stop right there.
When I finished laddering here, I went through, and I think what I did here is I tied a couple of knots around this leather, glued it, and then I silk wrapped over the closure. Okay, so just a couple of little knots under that to hold that leather together, silk wrapped over the top, and the silk wrap, what I used is 0.5 millimeter leather, which I love. Okay, and then I just ended with an overhand knot. And I like the way, because this is kind of a simple piece, so having this knot just kind of sit there like that works pretty nicely. And this is actually a button that I made out of a coin, but if you have a larger button that has a dome or something like this, it can deal with having a bulky knot and stuff like that. If it's a flatter end like this, it might not be the optimum closure. And I think I used 2mm leather on this side. Okay.
So balance and scale again that you're kind of working with there.
Balance and scale, exactly. And the same thing you can see here, Janice did do that 2-hold piece here to make this one adjustable. Am I in frame at all?
You are. Just give it a second.
Okay.
I just moved out when you moved, so there you go.
So you can see that here's this macrame, an opening, more macrame, an opening, third macrame. So if you were selling this piece and this button fit, this hole fit with people, you could just cut this away and call it a day. Okay. I think.
Lynn
any other
Carley
questions?
has one last question.
Yeah,
Has anybody else found the leather loop starts looking raggedy?
The leather loop down here? Well, I don't know, Lynn. Here's mine that I wear all the time, and it's looking a little raggedy, but it works in the spirit of the piece because this piece looks a little rugged.
Janice also had a question earlier on about could we use a sliding adjustable knot on a double wrap like this,
the adjustable knot,
like we did with the fishing hook knot with the macrame last time.
I don't think you could, because that would, well, maybe if you got it through.
Well, if it was big enough to wrap to go over and then twist to go over, then you could pull them. But
maybe.
It's still a little awkward, maybe.
Yeah, it might be a little awkward. We might experiment with that, though. It's not a bad idea. You know what you could also do if you had the right. This may be the time for a little bit of leather conditioning on this. I bet if you got a little bit of leather conditioner, it would start to look a little less raggedy.
Yeah.
If you were using black, you could put a little bit of shoe polish on. I mean, it's leather.
Right. And leather has a lifetime.
Yeah.
It's.
But you could put a little bit of that. You know, you get it wherever you would get stuff for like conditioning your leather coat or whatever.
Sure.
So that might work. Okay. So that's with closure. Any other questions, you guys, that you have before we? You always super condition the leather ends. It's a good idea, Debbie McKee. I'm gonna have to try it out. Well, Em, do you think we could get things set back up?
I think so.
We're going to try and set this all back up, you guys. So we're going to, I've got the camera.
Okay, hang on one sec.
Hang on, I'm gonna hold this up just like this. You can really see my messy, look at how messy my table is. Right over here on the side, you guys, you can see. But you know what? It's nothing like, you know, we all make a little bit of a mess when we're creating, right? Okay, we're gonna set this up face forward so Emily and I can, well, you know, we don't want you guys to think that we're super slobs, I guess, right? There we go. Look at this. It's a lovely mess. There we go. That was a nice transition, Em. That was award-winning. Look at that pan. Steven Soderbergh has nothing on you.
Oh.
Well, he's king of the Steadicam, you know.
Right.
He likes to go Steadicam on his movies. All right. Well, great. And Jackie said that she was working on some projects and we kept her company.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I'm so glad. I have another friend that listens to our broadcasts after the fact and likes to hear my voice.
Yes, as we're chatting.
Along.
Well, it was great to bead with you guys today. It was super fun for us, I know. I hope that you guys liked the different camera angles, and you did a great job on the camera.
I had to turn the air back up.
No, you did great. It was so good. It was really good.
Well, I definitely enjoy the challenge of that camera, and I would like to play with it a little bit more.
A little bit more. Well, we'll get it. You're getting. Look at all those hearts you're getting.
And I am going to make it so that we have an overhead. I got to tell you.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Do you know what we don't have out here? We don't have the giveaway. Oh! But it's all set. Let's grab one. So you guys can see it. There's always something. If I'd like to take pearls, which needle would you recommend? Well, Christina, it's a good question. If you're going to ladder with pearls, right, and you're going to do, and Janice, maybe you can chime in here too. If she's going to ladder, infinity ladder with
size
pearls,
12 needle.
maybe a size 12 needle with the KO.
With the KO, or even with Fireline.
Yeah, or the Fireline.
Because the Fireline definitely won't, it's small enough that even quadrupled, right? Doubled and doubled.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even have to do doubled because Fireline.
No,
you can do single and then single.
Yeah, but you know what? Because I want that side to be doubled.
All right.
I mean,
understand.
you could.
I get you.
Yeah.
I hear you. I
hear
hear you.
I'm
picking up what you're putting down.
I was just going to say, get out of my mind, Emily Miller. Get out of my mind.
I tried to say it first.
That's right. Well, let me get this here, what we need. Okay, so you guys, in the spirit of this laddering project, let me show you what we've got. We can zoom. Do you want to zoom it? You're still camera woman. You can't open the beads and be camera woman.
I want to hold the beads.
I know, the beads are so good. So what I did, you guys, is I made you guys a special little mix. And you know how we talked about Janice kind of isolating the little beads and kind of making much of each little kind of, what was I calling them? A little motif in her pieces. This is a fun little mix that has a lot of beads that are ready for you to make motifs. Motifs.
Motifs.
Yeah, motifs. That's right.
Yeah.
And so we've got some, I don't know, there's a little bit of semi-precious in here that's 6 mil. We've got, I threw in some super duos.
Oh, I like those super duos.
That's right. Look at that super duo. I threw in some size 6 check. I tried to make kind of a pleasing palette that was kind of a great end of fall palette. I called it a falling leaf. I was all, oh, palette looks like falling leaves. And Karen started to laugh and she said, Kate, that's what you call everything when you're not sure what to name it. You name it falling leaves. And she's right. It's really true. It's so true. So this is kind of my...
Yeah, I thought there was going to be autumn's end.
I don't know, something like... It is, but I originally said, you know, it's like falling leaves. So it is really true.
Fallen leaves.
Fallen leaves, but it's really fun.
Persimmon in there.
Yeah, there's some persimmon, there's a Tyla bead, there's a tube bead. So each one's going to be a little bit different, but they're all in this colorway.
Do I spy that little ivory in there that you like so much?
Yeah, you know how I feel about that ivory.
Yeah.
It's really true. Yeah. So let's embiggen. So we've got that. And if you make an order, I'm going to have you hold this. So, just like, there we go, you've got that one.
I do.
Just like, if you're watching this on the replay, you guys, I'm sorry that the offer is not valid, but today is 11/29, Wednesday, the 29th of November. And if you make your order before about 1:10 or so, right now it's about 12:10 Pacific time, if in the next hour, about 1:10, you place an order and write, farewell, fall.
Goodbye, autumn.
Adios,
autumn.
Adios, autumn. Farewell, fall. We will put your little fallen leaf mix in there for you that I made for you guys yesterday. And we have on our website, you can see, we have a tiered savings. So the more you buy, the more you save. But that 25%, to get that 25% discount, there is a minimum. So we've just removed that minimum for you. But you need to use a special discount code. If you put in DIVE, like CDIVE 25, DIVE 25, we'll knock 25% off your order, but that only lasts until midnight tonight, you guys, 11/29/2017. So if there's something that you forgot to grab during our big epic sale, or I don't know, whatever you want to add to your collection of things to create this wonderful piece that Janice designed, throw in that DIVE 25 and we'll knock 25% off. So, yeah.
I think we did it.
Yeah. We did. Were there any final questions? I think
there was a question about
needle
the mix.
question.
Is there a pattern for Kate's mix?
No. They're so, oh my gosh. They're so no pattern. But that's your challenge.
Yeah.
That's your challenge.
But if you get that little mix, I would imagine you'd be able to pick it out pretty close. You could make more.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I don't know, just there's all kinds of colors.
I love those gold ones.
You know, we had some really fun tubes of things, left over from our Facebook Lives and stuff, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to jump in and make a cool mix. So this one is just a special one for you guys. It will not be repeated. I want to try everything. You knotted a bangle. Beverly's saying she knotted a bangle and used over 100-year-old awl that belonged to her husband's father.
Lovely.
I love old tools.
Kate and I have a really super special fondness. In fact, when we go places and there are old things, we race. We do. We kind of shovel each other away, and
it's not.
We hold it in our hands, and we're like, yeah, you can't.
We covet it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And
that's right.
But I tend to buy 2 of things if I can. Because I know she's going to need it.
It's really true. Emily is very generous. I, on the other hand, buy 1. And I go,
I'll make you something with it.
Yeah, that's too bad. Too bad for you. No, I'm just kidding. That's so not
Remember
true.
those big coins?
Those big coins, I do. We're going to do something with someday.
We got to play with those coins.
We do. And speaking of playing, on Friday, you guys, I have a great free tip Friday. You don't even know what it is.
I don't.
It's going to be holiday themed.
I have to start early on Friday, though.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Drea and I had so much fun.
So cute to watch you guys
to
together.
do that kind of holiday earring. So I have, I put up on our Facebook group some ideas. Give me some ideas for Free Tip Friday. And so people have said things like, I want earrings. I want wire work. I want something holiday themed. I want something with seed beads.
Check.
I want something that I could maybe make quick for presents.
I can think of 2 or 3 different things right off the top of my head.
And someone also said jig. They want to do wire with a jig.
We've been talking about wire for a while.
This project incorporates all those things.
We are gonna have to do some more wire in the new year.
Well, on Friday so Friday's project, I thought of it today.
Cool.
In the shower where I get my best ideas.
With the water banging on the back of your head.
Yeah. So Friday. So I'm super excited. So you guys just have to tune in. But hopefully I'll have some little samples made up so you guys can see.
I'll have to watch you on the replay. Maybe I'll get a 10-minute break around that
it'll
time.
Be fun.
I probably will.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be able to chime in for a quick second.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for your support, your likes, most of all your patience. If you've placed orders over our Thanksgiving weekend, we are working super hard to get them out the door.
I'll take a quick snapshot of the piles.
Yeah.
And show you. I'll put it on Facebook.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And if you haven't done so already, we'd love to see you on our Facebook group. It's called the beadshop.com community. The bead table. You can just search it right here on Facebook. All you have to do is go over and answer 3 quick little questions, and we'll let you into our bead group. It's great. We now have over 1,000 members.
I saw that the other day,
which is amazing.
Blown away.
We have the stuff that's going on
exciting.
there. You guys are so talented, posting your pieces. We love it.
And you are so productive. I am
and super helpful.
Incredibly impressed.
Yeah, no, we love it. Yeah. We love it. And so, if you've tried to join and you haven't answered those 3 questions, you guys, and you're like, why haven't they approved me? Just go back into where it says join, you click on it, and those 3 questions will come up. If you're having trouble joining or whatever, just shoot me an email, kate@beadshop.com, and we'll get you all sorted out, okay? Because we would love to have everybody. So, that seems to do it.
I think so.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Emily.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Janice. And we'll see you guys on Friday for Free Tip Friday. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. All right, now we've got to turn this thing off. And slide. Slide it again. There we go. I think we're good.
No, it has to be rolling, I think.
Yeah.